The Wall by Pink Floyd is one of the greatest albums of all time, and the movie that accompanies it is one of the most interesting and artistic movies that I've ever seen. And honestly, I draw a lot of comparisons from the movie and the album to Kanye West current day. There's a lot of parallels, and I know it might be insensitive to draw art to a real person who is actually struggling with mental health, but I think it actually draws a lot of empathy for Kanye West instead of just saying, this guy is a Nazi, this guy's terrible, bad person, whatever. I think drawing the comparisons from this movie, The Wall, and the album can draw compassion and empathy for Kanye West and the struggles he's going through, the mental health struggles he's going through at this current moment.
We don't need no thought control.
So the main character of The Wall by Pink Floyd, his name is Pink. Pretty simple, right? And one of the biggest plot points of the movie is that Pink, this character, doesn't have a father when he grows up. His father is in the war. He dies in the war. He grows up without a father and is raised by his mother. And while Kanye West has a father who's alive, who he's reconnected with in recent years, he was primarily raised by his mother, which he grows a large attachment to. Donda West, I mean, you look at Hey Mama, and then obviously what happened with her and how she died definitely affected current day Kanye West. And in this movie, The Wall, it's pretty much the same thing. He grows up with his mother. He has a close attachment to her, and then once she dies, he kind of loses a part of himself and that childlike innocence.
Mother, do you think they'll like the song? And if I talk to Christ, then I bring my mother back to life. And if I die tonight, will I see her in the after?
So there is actually one big thing that doesn't really connect to what I'm saying, and it's the fact that Pink's father in this movie died in the war. And there's a lot of scenes with this World War II battle sequence, and that doesn't really apply to what I'm saying, and it is a big part of the movie. But other than that, I mean, the movie is about Kanye West, let's be honest. One of the songs on the record, Another Brick in the Wall, plays a massive part in the album because there's a couple parts to the song, and just lyrically that song I think connects with Kanye West and is very Kanye West-like because it is very defiant and kind of against society, and you can't tell me what to do, which plays a big part in Kanye West's expression and how he kind of presents himself. It's also important to note that Pink does get married to this more like liberal woman, it's hinted at, and obviously later on down the line, Pink will become this right-wing radical Nazi maniac. But fame, money, drugs, and the loss of his mother is driving this character crazy, so he becomes very detached from his wife. So again, Pink is going crazy because he doesn't really have a relationship with his wife. The fame and money is driving him crazy, and then also it seems like the world around him is just going mad. You see different scenes of like different stores getting robbed and looted, and then people at his shows getting beaten and arrested by cops. So he turns to sex and drugs to cope with all of that. Also, this one particular scene of this woman in his like hotel room or apartment where Pink is just obviously on drugs. He looks completely disgusting, and he's sitting there just staring at the TV, flipping channels, and this woman is just offering him sex, but he doesn't respond in any way, but she just keeps going and like tries to get him to do something. But I think that really draws parallels between Kanye. It shows that this person is really just unwell and not fit mentally, but people around him don't care. They just want him for the money. They just want they're yes men essentially, and I think this scene perfectly shows that. So when I said that Pink's father doesn't really compare to what I'm talking about, there is some similarities. So you see Pink watching the TV, and he's watching like World War II movies and shows, whatever, on his TV, and I think that draws comparisons because this is the only way he feels connected to his father, the only way he really feels like he knows his father, because that's really the only thing he knows about him is that he was in World War II. So I think there is that kind of that thing of wanting to connect with a father that you never really had. And I could kind of tell Kanye had that when I see him speaking with his father on like the phone with the, what was that one documentary, like Genius? Yeah, I think it was called Genius, where Kanye's talking on his father, and it's so obvious that he really just wants to connect with his dad. So Pink is in his apartment watching these movies, doing drugs. He shaves his eyebrows too, which I think Ye did at one point, and yeah, he overdoses. He overdoses in his hotel room, and a whole bunch of management people, doctors come in, they rush into his apartment, but his managers and his crew or whatever, people that kind of control him, are like, no, you can't overdose. You have a show to go to. You can't miss this show. And then he finally wakes up and they're like, okay, you're going to the show, even though he just overdosed, which is that kind of classic rock star thing of like the management and the label kind of control you, and they'll push you to the limit. And Kanye has definitely fallen victim to that. But Pink breaks out of his skin, literally, in the movie. He sheds his skin and he becomes a new person. He's reborn into a Nazi. So yeah, I don't really need to like make the obvious comparison between being a Nazi and being Kanye West, which is sad to say, but yeah, it is kind of that concept of fame, drugs, sex, money, all of this kind of stuff drives you mad. So you have to turn to something, and you turn to being a Nazi and a radical right-wing figure. And to speak on just Kanye West as a person, it is kind of a logical conclusion to assume that he would turn to radical right-wing politics just because he tries to be edgy. He wants people to not like him. He literally said in a new interview, I'll do whatever people tell me not to do. Now, obviously in this movie, it's a little over-exaggerated because Pink pretty much just becomes Hitler, and Kanye West hasn't done anything that like has physically hurt anyone regarding his Nazi claims, but it definitely probably has influenced people. Like, think about it. You're a teenage boy who is a huge Kanye West fan, and you find him super inspirational, and then you see that he's saying all this Nazi stuff, but he's like your biggest inspiration. Maybe you listen to him and you go down this right-wing pipeline because of Ye. And I'm sure that's kind of a small percentage, just because I think a lot of people recognize the mental illness that Ye has and kind of the absurd things he's saying. But I'm guessing there's a small percentage of people that listen to Ye and are influenced by what he's saying. Now, there isn't a super like conclusive ending to this movie, and if I was going to do a separate video on just the wall itself and a deep dive, I could talk about like the physical wall that appears throughout this movie and how it kind of breaks down at the end and all these little animated parts. But I am drawing the comparison between Pink and Ye, so there isn't really a conclusive ending, which I think fits perfectly for this video because, well, I mean, Ye is he's still tweeting, and this is happening in real time. There isn't an ending yet. So it is dangerous, and I have empathy and compassion for Ye, but at the same time, what he's saying is terrible and dangerous, and obviously I don't condone it. So it's tough. He's one of my favorite artists of all time, and it does make me sad about what's going on. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. If you haven't seen The Wall by Pink Floyd, if you haven't listened to the album or the movie, check out both. I mean, you could just watch the movie and the album is sprinkled throughout the whole movie, so you'll basically just be listening to it. But yeah, definitely recommend the movie. It's free on YouTube. Check it out. Some of these scenes are just insane, and yeah, definitely go check it out. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and leave that comment.